The presence of this very thick salt sequence is over a very large area, almost 300 square kilometers. So that's another kind of a layer of confidence for us that we'll find significant potash resource in this project.
Hello, welcome to Assay TV. Today I'm delighted to be joined by the chairman of Millennial Potash, Farhad Abasov. Farhad, great to see you here today. We're going to be talking about your project there, the Potash Project, the Banio Project in Gabon. But before we get into the details, could you just sort of set the scene for us, a little bit of background on Millennial Potash and the location of your project there in Gabon?
Sure, Leo. So Millennial Potash has been working on its Banio Potash Project in Gabon, in West Africa. This project has been previously explored, so we know what is in the ground. There have been two major drill campaigns in the last few decades, and as recently as 2017 and 2018. So we know that this is a very good potash project with significant upside potential, and it is in a well-known potash basin as well. It's called West Africa Congo Potash Basin. And Leo, we put together a very strong potash team to develop this project. So basically, probably one of the best potash teams that has delivered on two major potash projects in the last 10 years.
Excellent. Well, let's talk about your recent announcement. You've had some 2D seismic data, historic data, you've done a reinterpretation of that. Tell us a little bit about what you've discovered there.
Yeah, look, I mean, the really exciting results came back. I mean, we knew that obviously, as I said, there were drill core results and the drill cores that we still have, and we're going to actually reanalyze them as well. So we had a pretty good idea as to what they found in those drill campaigns in the past. But the 2D seismic interpretation gave us an even better idea as to what we got in the ground and what we can actually achieve in the next few weeks and months. Primarily the fact that this was shot over a very large area. And what we found that they're very thick salt sequence, and salt sequence basically is the sequence within which potash layers or potash horizons are contained. And we're talking about 400-meter thickness in the north and almost 800 meters in the south. Now, what that means that it's most likely, all those potash layers, all those potash horizons that are known in the West African potash basin probably extend into Gabon as well, as we see quite a strong positive correlation between the thickness of the salt and, of course, the availability or the presence of those potash seams. Now, the other thing is, I would say the second major advantage that we see here is that it's flat lying, it's very uniform, and what that means that it will make our lives much easier when it comes time to actually start solution mining this project, meaning that with solution mining, we have to create caverns, we have to have spacings between caverns and so forth. And when it's uniform and there are no major structural interruptions or faults, obviously, it's much cheaper and more efficient to actually create those caverns. And one other thing I want to mention here, Leo, as far as the 2D seismic is concerned, is that the presence of this very thick salt sequence is over a very large area, almost 300 square kilometers. So that's another kind of a layer of confidence for us that we'll find significant potash resource in this project.
So you're finding that those layers, they're thickening as they go towards the south, and obviously in the south, in the Republic of Congo, there are current producing potash projects, yeah?
Yeah, there are a number of projects in the Republic of Congo. They've been actually under development for almost over a decade, I would say probably 15 years or so. And so there's a very good database as to what is in there in terms of geology, in terms of the deposit parameters and so forth. And it helps us a lot in terms of figuring out what actually extends into Gabon. And that's why this 2D seismic reinterpretation was critical to see whether that actually corresponds to what we've seen in Gabon, in the Republic of Congo as well. And that's what I was referring to, that we've seen that, the thicker the salt sequence, the higher the probability that all 10 potash seams will be actually extending into Gabon as well. And those 10 potash cycles or horizons have been found, obviously, in the Republic of Congo.
And one thing that the seismic can pick up on, which you touched on, is the lack of faulting throughout the system. So I guess in terms of when you're looking at the historic drill holes, how does that impact your sort of confidence that there is consistency between those drill holes?
Yeah, look, I mean, that was critical because we have two clusters of historical drill holes. The first cluster was done in the 1970s by a French oil and gas company. It was in the south, and luckily, fortunately for us, they actually drilled quite deep, down to about 1,200 meters. And then about 20 kilometers to the northwest, another company in 2017, 2018 drilled down to about 600 meters. So, but we don't have anything in between. So a 20-kilometer gap, two clusters of drill holes. So this 2D seismic gave us a very good idea as to the uniformity of the salt sequence. And that's why we think that, there's a very, very good chance that, the entire basin is continuous from the south all the way to the north. And also I should say that, the previous, or I should say the most recent drill program that was done there in 2017, 2018, they drilled down to about 600 meters, but they did not go all the way down to 800, 900 meters. So we think that there is a good chance that the same cycles, so the same potash horizons that were found in the south, actually extend all the way to the north. So that's our first drill hole will actually go down to about 800 meters. But again, as you said, yes, the key thing is that we see that between those drill hole clusters, we have pretty uniform salt sequence. So in other words, no faults. And again, it will make it a lot more efficient for us to have solution mining operation with no interruptions.
Absolutely. So this next, you said you're going to drill a hole in the north section. When do you expect that to sort of be underway?
So Leo, we ordered a new drill rig, so that is already on its way to the site. We expect it to arrive sometime around mid-May. So as soon as it arrives, we're going to start drilling. So we're already making all the preparations. We started full mobilization on the camp as well. And we're talking probably mid-June, late June, by when we will be able to get first results from that drill campaign, or at least for first drill hole, I should say. And as I mentioned, it's going to go deeper than the previous drill holes, just to see whether we can actually intersect the same potash cycles in the south. And if that's the case, the subsequent two holes will go to the same depth, just so that we have a better idea as to what is going on at that depth. Because right now, all the previous drill holes actually end up at around 580 meter depth. So that's the plan. So that basically throughout the summer, we're going to be drilling first in the north. And then once we're happy with what we found in the north, we'll try to put out a maiden resource estimate by September. And then we'll move the drill rig down to the south and start drilling the deeper horizons, basically the rest of the year, most likely the last quarter of this year. And while we're doing that, while we're doing expansion drilling, we're going to start a preliminary economic assessment. And we're hoping to finish that by early next year as well, maybe by the end of the year.
Right. So because as you mentioned earlier, the drill holes in the south, they were sort of a few years ago. So how confident are you that the drill, you'll be able to replicate those results?
Well, there are two things. First, of course, we're going to be drilling ourselves, so we'll see what we find. But the second thing, we have all the drill cores on site. So all the historic drill cores are still on site. We have access to them. So that will be the first step, actually. We've already sent them for reinterpretation for reanalysis to different labs, both in Canada and Europe. So we'll get the results back hopefully in the next few weeks. So that will be the first thing that we'll actually put out as news, so that our shareholders can see what we've reinterpreted or reanalyzed in terms of the past drill cores. So that will give us a lot more confidence than obviously looking at the work that was done by some other company, so to speak. And then, of course, on the back of it, hopefully the drill rig will arrive on time and we'll start drilling ourselves too. So we'll have our first-hand information from the data, from the drill cores, I should say, versus looking just at paper data. And then, of course, we'll start drilling ourselves.
And that cores,
so our confidence will be very high.
But the cores being kept in reasonable condition, yeah?
They were actually incredibly good condition, completely intact. They were preserved in the air-conditioned environment. So yes, we have some pictures in our presentation, so they're in great shape. So basically, we sent the pulps for reanalysis.
Fantastic. So you've got a bit of work ahead, but in terms of sort of funding it all, how's the company looking in terms of your cash in the bank? I did a raising earlier this year, I believe.
Yes, we did, Leo. So as you know, the company under the name of Millennial Potash started trading relatively recently. We're talking about in early February. So as soon as we started to resume trading under the name of MLP, we got quite a bit of inbound demand for stock. So we decided to do a quick $2 million raise. But the demand was much higher than $2 million. So we decided to upsize it to $3.5 million. So we closed that financing, I think it was in mid-March or early March. So we have enough in the bank to basically finish the initial stage of drilling and launch the PEA. And later on this year, we'll probably raise more capital. And also we have 2 rounds of warrants at 60 cents and 75 cents each, strike prices. And so we're hoping that, one day they're exercised, of course, that will bring in another $5 to $6 million. So that will, if those warrants are all exercised, then we'll be fully funded for the rest of the year.
Fantastic. And recent announcement about your DTC eligibility, allowing US investors to get sort of easier access to your shares. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about how that works.
Yeah. So look, I mean, that really helps because we've been waiting for it. So what happens that you basically apply for this DTC eligibility. Now, what that does, it basically makes it easier, facilitates the trading of the stock of Canadian stocks or any foreign stock for that matter in the US by brokers. So what that means for us is that we will be able to go now and spend more time in the US in terms of investor relations, talking to different brokers, different funds, obviously individuals and so forth, so that they can easily trade our stock while being located in the United States. We haven't done much work in terms of investor relations as far as the US is concerned, primarily because of the lack of DTC eligibility, and we're waiting for that. So in the next few months, basically myself and my colleagues will be very busy talking to a lot of different potential investors out of the US.
Excellent. So to summarize, in terms of sort of key milestones that people should look out for over the course of the coming months, what are we looking for?
So, a few things. First, again, the reanalysis of all these drill cores that we mentioned. I think that will be critical because one thing, again, we look at the data analysis from somebody else. The other thing, actually, we do it, send them to the reputable labs and so forth. And the second thing, of course, the start of drilling and the drill results. So I think this summer, those drill results from past exploration and from current exploration will be critical. And then followed by a maiden resource estimate in September. So those will be critical milestones. And again, the plan is to actually see what we have in the northern part of this project. And that's where the initial drilling will be focused. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to actually drill in the south. We think the mother lode of potash is in the south because of the thickness. But we still think that we're going to find a considerable amount of potash in the north, which will allow us to actually do a PEA. Because I think we'll have enough sufficient resource there to start a PEA. And so that we can actually see the economics of this project, at least at a preliminary stage, so to speak. And then with expansion or revised drilling, the resource estimate, hopefully by early next year, we'll have a fully kind of understood or fully formed the picture of what we have in the ground in terms of the resource size and the quality. So next few months will be critical, and we think both in terms of resource definition and delineation, of course, attaching the robust economics to it.
Excellent. Well, exciting times for the company. Good luck with all of that. But thank you for joining us today to tell us about the company.
Thanks so much, Leo. Good seeing you.